So I wanted to get together with Karel Suarez because a lot of people don't know that Karel and I, the legal team, workplace law firm, we have this co-counsel relationship that really dates back like 3.5 years when I actually met Karel in person at a restaurant before I opened my own law firm. And he probably showed up in a suit like that, and I probably showed up in something more casual like this. And, Carell's energy was just so vibrant and he was just so positive with what he was doing with the legal team that, I wanted to start this video series to really highlight the synergies that we developed beginning from that initial meeting 3.5 years ago to all the things that we're doing today that maybe many people don't even know about. So, Karel, can you just tell us briefly about like what started then about 3.5 to 4 years ago? I don't know if you're 4 years in now, but tell
Yes.
us a little bit about the legal team.
So Adam, first of all, thank you, for this. Thank you for inviting me to your videos, and I watch them a lot, so I'm happy to be part of them now. But yeah, so we started a legal team in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. It was this crazy idea to do something more, where we can potentially help companies and business owners, and with the legal department that maybe small size businesses and mid-sized businesses, they cannot afford having an in-house counsel that they pay a salary for the year like the big companies can. So the idea of the legal team, and that's why also the name, is for these companies to have their own legal team, and people that they can trust, and people that they can, not that it's not just a transaction, it's more like a relationship with the legal team and with the co-counsels that I have in the team, is where it's more about that relation and not so much like, how much am I billing for this second or for this call or for this text message. Just let's build that relationship so that it can last forever, and it can last for years and years come. So I still remember, that first call. I actually remember what I was in that first call that you and I have. I was getting to, I think it was a postal office to drop something. And the reason that I remember that is because at that time you were kind of doing the same thing that I was doing when I was not ready or yet to go on my own and open my own firm. And I can feel, I felt that from you, where you were having that hesitation. And since I was already, like, I think by that time I was already maybe 2 years out, 2 years on my own, I believe, or 1 year on my own. And the best decision you made, it was to do that, because the flexibility, the decision making that now you have to be able to decide what client to take, what client not to take, what type of work you want to do, what type of relationship you want to have with your client. That's what I was feeling when I went on my own, and when you called me, it was the perfect time for that. And it's funny because even though we went to the same law school, we don't know each other for law school. We have people in common, and our synergy, our chemistry worked out the best. And I think the reason that it worked out the best is because you and I had, when it comes to clients and customer services, are in the same page, where clients are always first and clients always come. It's not that they're always right, because clients might not have the information that we provide to them and the knowledge. But at the end of the day, the type of work that we do is a customer service work. Even though we're lawyers, even though we go to law school and all the stuff, at the end of the day, we're just like a server at a restaurant. We're just like a hotel attendants. We just in a different position, but at the end of the day, we provide a service, and we gotta understand that clients are more important than us. So and I think that's one of the issues that sometimes lawyers have, when they think that they're better than their clients, and they're smarter than the client. And that's one of the things that I've seen in the past, and that I didn't want to take with the legal team.
Mhm. Yeah, and when you speak about relationships, I think that's like at the heart of what we do with what separates our firms from, let's say, other firms. Like, we really make an effort to develop personal relationships with our clients. And you in particular, I have to compliment you for this because you do such a great job of integrating what your clients do within your personal day-to-day life. For example, you wear the suits of one of your clients. You drive a car that maybe you had a relationship with a client there. Different examples like that. I just see this throughout with you, which is just a testament to how much you care about the client on a personal level. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I love the fact, that now I can drive around Miami or, and then drive around and say, I represent that place. Those people over there are my client, and that dry cleaning place over there is my client. And be able to kind of do things together where I still charging by the hour and do my job, and they still charge me for their service. But isn't it better? Doesn't it feel better when you are, and it's like your friend, if your friend has a business, it's not about going and ask for your friend discounts and try to like get stuff for free. It's about, if my friend has a car wash business, why don't I just go to that car wash instead of going to another car wash where, yes, I will be paying the same, but I'll be paying the same to my friend. And that's how I see my clients. My clients, at some point becomes that is a friendship. And I mean, I still, and I still are at the point where I still, every month when I send the bill, it still hurts me, because at the end of the day, I make, they feel as friends, but for me, it's more important the relationship. For me, it's more important, where I can take you, how we can grow together. Then let me just get $5 grand or $2 grand or $3 grand or 10 grand out of you because I had to pay something, and that's kind of like what this new approach after COVID had given us. Now that we're on our own, we have more flexibility when it comes to overhead, more flexibility when it comes to like, rent an office, more flexibility to do a lot of things that now we don't have an overhead of 20-30 grand a month that we had at the end. Ultimately, that pressure, it fell on the client where you have to make that money at the end of the month in order to pay those overhead. And I think, if lawyers that are on their own smart enough and they keep the overhead low, they can create a better relationship with the client because they don't put that pressure on the client because the lawyer itself doesn't have that pressure.
Yeah, and I also think, in terms of integrating the relationships with the clients you have, I had never seen a scenario where the lawyer invites their clients to an event to essentially network and engage with each other and also engage with you, really to show your appreciation for them as clients. Can you tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about that?
so that came actually kind of like idea. So when I joined Burger Singerman in 2019, I heard about an event that they would do where it was something kind of similar like that. Like they would invite clients and they would invite other people and they would bring a speaker. But it was funny because I worked at Burger Singerman from 2019. By the time I got there, they didn't have the event. Then on 2020, I leave Burger Singerman and that was COVID. So of course they didn't have that event. So I never actually was part of the event. I just heard of the event. And since then I was like, that's a good idea. I really like that. It's my one time on the year where I can tell the client, listen, I want to give this back to you. I want to do an event. I'll pay everything, food, drinks. I want to, as a celebration and as appreciation, of you supporting us and you trusting us. But at the same time, the whole idea with the legal team is not so much to just be a firm. I want the legal team to be part of the client's, one of another client's company's department. So I want the clients to feel that they're getting not just the legal benefit, but they're also getting the benefit of all the different companies that we represent. So I was like, why don't we do something where we actually create an event every year where the clients network with our own clients and they have the common denominator, they have the lawyer. And they might feel a little bit more comfortable doing business together. I mean, doesn't mean that someone can screw the other one just because they have the lawyers as a common denominator, but it's less chance because people are like, well, I mean, the same lawyer. So which is sometimes it might be so good for us because sometimes we might be conflicted out. Like if they want to do something together, we might not be able to represent both. But I don't care. I don't really care because again, for me, it always goes down to like, I want the best for the client. And if the best for the client is for that specific deal, me not being part of it, I don't care. The client was going to have all the deals. I don't need to be involved in everything if it's not going to be for the best of the client. And that's why, you with a workplace, a law firm, and other lawyers that have a team come into it. If I have something that I might be able to do, I might be able to do an employment agreement. I have the capacity, I have a lawyer to be able to do that. But why do I want to do something that I don't do every day? I want to be in litigation. I want to take deposits. I want to go to hearings. I might not want to do experience in something that I don't do it every day. So instead of me, getting all the money, I prefer to bring other lawyers that I know give the same, charisma, give the same attention, give the same responsiveness, give the same quality of work, a lot more than me, because I don't do that type of practice. And yes, I'm gonna make less money. I don't care, because the client goes back to the same. The client is getting the best, legal representation at that point.
Speaking of which, can you tell us, I mean, I know what you do, and you do a
Yeah.
fantastic job when I bring the legal team in to support my clients, and I know what you do, and I think you do a great job, and that's why, we continue to do a lot of business together. But can you just share, like, what is your niche? What is your
Yeah.
area of expertise, and what is it that you enjoy the most about practicing law?
So what we started, I do mostly litigation. So that's what I was doing, at the first firm that I worked. Then at Burgers Hingham in commercial complex business litigation, right? That's when I started. When I started the legal team, I started doing that. But then I started realizing that I just don't want to be just the litigator. I don't want to have that vibe with my clients, that when my clients see me, they're like, ah, Karel, I'm either getting sued, I'm suing someone. I didn't want that. I wanted more the vibe of like, Karel is my support legal assistant. Karel is someone that, help me on the bad, but also on the good side. And that also helps me, and, to be able to litigation, take it as an approach, not this is just my only one thing, and I'm just gonna milk the client because that's only what I do. Since I don't only do that, litigation for me is a bump on the road for the client. I just want to get it out, that bump out as soon as possible, so that the client can focus on the other stuff that we do, which is the corporate work. The contracts for the client, the contracts for the client employee, the vendors, the contracts for the owners of the company. So on the corporate side, how is the client legally prepared when a lawsuit comes? If something happens, I want to have the client ready for that, so that when the lawsuit comes, I already have the papers in the drawer. I just have to pull them out, and it will be an easier litigation case, or doesn't even maybe get to litigation, because I can show you don't have a case here because look at what the contract says. So yes, I do litigation. That's what I've always done. And I have someone in the team, Eric Reyes, that helps with the corporate side, also helps with the real estate side. And we have a title company in-house, so that we do closings as well. But I try to focus my attention more into like, let me get the litigation case out for this client, so that I can potentially guide him into having all the documents properly. Because by the time they get to us, maybe they didn't have any documents, and that's why the litigation now is costing more, it's taking more time. And from that, we started realizing at some point, clients need more than corporate litigation. So that's when we decided, let's bring, the workplace law firm to help us with employment matters. Let's bring, Augusto Pereira, that does trademark, to do the trademark copyright. Then we brought Gina Chevalier to do the trust and states. And then we also have other lawyers that help with the litigation, because litigation is always like the big animal, and you always need a lot more manpower for that. So we have Omar Ali Shama, and then we also have Carlos Alvarez to help in the litigation. And the good thing also that Carlos brings to the table, he's very savvy now when it comes to artificial intelligence, that now is all with the ChatGPT and all these things. So he's very, help us in that, to learn on that. But yeah, that has been the idea. That the idea has been to become the legal team with different legal practices that in a way help a business and a business owner. And to your last question, that you asked, like, what is it you love the most about being a lawyer? Honestly, is my relationship with my clients. That's what I love the most. And when you were at the big firms as an associate or whatever, you didn't have that, because you would never sometimes even knew who the client was. And I don't like that. I like to have that one-on-one. I want to see what the client struggle, what the client, how he was able to actually create what he had. I mean, we have a client that we work in common a lot, that you know him from like, school, and knowing that story, how he became who he is now, is what really I like it. I of course I don't mind representing the big companies and all the stuff, but I like that relationship that we have with those business owners, which they kind of struggle like we did to be able to have the business that we have today.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of that, it just makes for such a perfect synergy, especially when the focus of our respective practices is primarily small to mid-sized businesses where, they don't have unlimited legal budgets.
Yeah.
They can't spend $1,000 an hour like they might have to spend at a big firm. And a lot of what we do is like avoidance of litigation. So, and I know that that may result in losing some litigation funds, but at the end of the day, it's what's in the best interest of the client, right?
Correct. Correct.
Um,
That's
so
why
the,
we try to like not to focus so much only in litigation, because if you focus, and that's my only practice, I have to, I have to get work, and I might not want to settle the case, because if I settle the case, I lose one a stream of income that is coming in. So, but for me, I don't care if all my litigation cases settle tomorrow. I'm more than happy for those to happen, because I know deep down, litigations never helps a client. It's always the lawyers that want the one that wins, which is okay. But at the same time, it doesn't feel right when the client is going to a battle that at the end he's not gonna be happy and he's gonna lose, because even if he wins the case, he'll lose money on the lawyers.
Yeah, and I'm so happy you said that because the last thing I want to touch on in this particular video is really that and just pricing in general and how our price structures are just so reasonable when it comes to what it could be compared to like big law firms and things like that. And on top of the price structure, just how fair the billing is. When I see some of the bills for some of my clients on the litigation, I'm sometimes expecting like, a lot more because that's what I was used to working at the big firms. But you and everybody at the legal team, you're just so reasonable and careful about charging the client. You don't want to ever overcharge. And I know that you're really putting the client's interest first, which says a lot. And it actually is true because there's a lot of attorneys that say that, but I know that you guys actually mean it because I see it.
Yeah.
Can you
And
tell
then
me a little bit about that?
and it's funny because every time that I meet with a new lawyer that is gonna come to the team, before I even talk about typos or responsiveness or do that, my first pet peeve is like, guys, we're not gonna overbill. There's gonna be enough work to make money for everyone, but do not. Maybe I have a trauma from in the past that I seen it happen, and maybe that trauma is now like whatever can happen. We could be late. We could just forget about something, but we cannot overbill. And for me, it's just it's not worth it. Like we have enough work. We're gonna have enough work to make money. Like we don't have to just sit here, and if it took you an hour, put three, just because maybe you're already at a time in your career and experience that it takes you now an hour, but it should take someone average 3 hours. Why? People already paying you at the hourly rate that you're asking them, because you have those years of experience. And we charge, for example, we don't charge phone calls, we don't charge text messages. I have a story of a lawyer that went to like Punta Cana with a client, and he charged the entire weekend, even though it was like a vacation weekend. And it's crazy because I mean, I know that I'm not gonna make it happen, but I don't want to be the story, continue the story with the bad lawyers. That the lawyers is always the bad in the picture, and the jokes with the lawyers and all the stuff. I don't want to be that. I want to take that from people's idea. That's why I don't charge for a phone call, because I don't want the client to feel like, oh no, if I call Karel, he's gonna charge me. I don't want that. I want the client to feel comfortable to call me even more than he calls his spouse. Because I want to create that relationship. I want the client, whenever something happens, whenever something comes up, Karel, what do you think about this? Should we do this? And then we can talk about an agreement. We can talk about things that we can do. But I don't want to just create something that the client feels, I'm only going to call Karel when things are like completely, completely bad, and then wait until the last minute to call me because he's afraid that I'm going to charge you for that. So I think, it's a good thing that we have had different experience. Now we know that we don't want to be And for me, I even have it. I mean, I have this system that's called Clio, where I have it by the seconds. I mean, it's funny because some of the lawyers in the team is like, Karel, your billing is so weird because you're like $222 with 13 cents. Like, how do you even come up with that number? And the reason I do is because I have the clock on the thing that, and then I'll stop it whenever I stop working. And if I get a phone call, I'll stop it. I'll be like, yeah. And then I'll just go back to that and then just click it back again. That's why my billings are so specific for the time that it took me, because again, I want to be fair. I don't want to steal anyone's money. And again, there's going to be enough money from that client. I'm going to make for each client $1 million for the next 30 years. I don't need to overbill now, you know?
I mean, that's just amazing. And that's the way it should be, to be honest. And I think a lot of attorneys, they just get caught up in, the metrics of what their law firms have on them, and they get the pressure, and then they get greedy
I
too.
think it's that.
It's a combination of
I think
things.
it's the pressure. I think it's like I need to get to this whatever hours I need to make in the year, and also big firms have to do it because that's the process of teaching other younger associates. So you're gonna have a billing of doing one motion, 4 people doing work on that one motion. Motion to dismiss, you have the head partner, the junior partner, the senior associate, and the young, to work on one motion. That the reason why we have it set up so well here, the legal team, and with you as well, is we already on the partner. We don't really have associates. It's all partners working on cases that, yes, I might take a look just to make sure that, that someone wrote something, but it's not going to take me, another half an hour, another hour to review something that someone did. I'm just going to take a look to see if there's not any typos, any things like that. But it's not using the client's money to teach, younger associates, which again, I might have been part of that when I learned, and maybe that's the process, but maybe that's fine for the big companies, not for the small, mid-sized companies that we represent. And I will hate to see then, like, the same thing being done or reviewed by 4 different lawyers,
Thanks, Karel. I look forward to continuing these discussions in future videos. So thanks for everybody watching. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.